Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, board members. Thank you very much for visiting with me today and seeing me via satellite. My name is Patricia Ohanian, and I am the current director of Tundraponics, which is a subsidiary of Western Avenue Elementary School in Flossmoor. I've been asked to speak with you today about the inclusion of the original Western Avenue outdoor classroom in your upcoming Community Gardens exhibit. As you may know, Tundraponics was started 20 years ago as a direct result of the outdoor classroom experience at Western. 20 years ago, a Western Avenue School alum made that first breakthrough in growing plants in snow and in ice, which we have a lot here. We have a lot of it here. Today, by farming the Antarctic, we provide nearly half of the world's food supply. Happily, 7 years ago, the United Nations World Food Program declared that world hunger, as we had come to know and expect it, had been eradicated. Well, this all started with a small school garden in the Midwest, and I'd like to give you, if you wouldn't mind taking some time, I'd like to give you a little history of that first gardening effort and to give you an idea of where it's brought us today. Western Avenue Elementary School was founded 112 years ago in Flossmoor, Illinois. In 2008, they took the first step in caring for the environment by starting the Green Team. They started out with a small patch of land behind the school, and 2 years later, with the help of generous grant monies, they planted the district's first outdoor classroom. That first group of kids and teachers and parents all got together and planned and planted. They learned the basics of gardening and how to take care of the earth and how to take care of the plants, and the garden grew. They learned about indoor gardening, and the garden grew. They learned about field study and plant identification and hydroponics and genetics, and as time went on, the garden flourished. Now, from the beginning, the community was involved, and they learned from the children and their efforts. In turn, they contributed to the school's garden and started their own gardens based on an outdoor classroom model of the Green Team. The movement grew, first with a few gardens, then more every year. By 2015, there were 25 community gardens in the area. By 2021, over 100 gardens. At Western Avenue, as each class of children graduated and went on, they took with them the knowledge gained from their time with the soil and the plants. One girl, Anna Comstock, carried her knowledge all the way to Antarctica. At 5.4 million square miles, Antarctica is the fifth largest continent in area. About 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice, which averages at least a mile in thickness. It's considered a desert, with annual precipitation of only 8 inches along the coast and far less inland. Now, at that time, with very few plants and no trees, Antarctica seemed the least likely place for a plant biologist to work. After becoming a research biologist, Anna brought her interest in hydroponics and ice study to a remote outpost near the South Pole. Early attempts at farming proved difficult, but after many years of work, she and her team succeeded in cultivating the first flowering plant to be grown entirely in the frozen tundra. More flowers followed, but the day that first vegetable took hold, that was a historic day. With nearly 1.5 billion starving people on Earth, it had become increasingly important to find a way of providing food on a large-scale basis. Well, people ask me, how do you farm the ice and the snow? Well, planting and harvesting here are done the same way as anywhere back home, except we do it in the snow and the ice. We have a dedicated staff of year-round farmers and biologists working together to plant, harvest, and process the crops. Not surprisingly, elements can make things a bit difficult for us sometimes, but we always find a way. Of course, we do have to cultivate some plants to keep them well away from the natives, and we continue to learn even after 20 years. Now we have a variety of fruits and vegetables, and most of them, not surprisingly, are frozen vegetables, which is good for transporting them around the world. But probably the most important crop we have is corn. 50 years ago, the state of Illinois produced 12.1 billion bushels of corn. Last year, Antarctica produced just a little over 22 trillion bushels of corn. Now, beyond the human food potential, corn also feeds livestock. An acre of corn yields about 183 bushels. And 1 bushel of corn fed to livestock produces 6 pounds of beef or 13 pounds of pork or 20 pounds of chicken or even 28 pounds of catfish. What about energy? I mean, the ethanol made from 1 bushel of shelled corn can provide 197,000 to 225,000 BTUs, depending on the recovery rate. Corn's a big thing for us. Now, since Western Avenue is where the seed of this project began, they're still very much involved with work trips and summer internships. Bob and Kenny here, they've been coming here since the 4th grade. Mr. Sue helped make up the first garden at the school. Now, the kids help in all sorts of ways, from collecting snowflakes to preparing the snow for planting. This girl is harvesting carrots. And I hear the kids are peering into one of the ice huts that we've built to cultivate our seedlings. But there's always more than one way to peer into a hut. Everybody helps out around here. Our main building is always alive with the sounds of kids and laughter and working. So, what's next for Tundroponics? Well, our research is taking us in interesting directions. I'll show you a couple things we're working on. We've been working on a hot dog tree. You can see that there. It's actually going pretty well. Also, we're working on a marshmallow tree. That's been a bit difficult. It's light. It blows over in the wind. We've also been working on a money tree. That's going a little slowly. Well, that's the story about how a small school garden saved the world from hunger. Now, all of this was made possible by a dedicated group of students supported by their community. People who doubt if they can make a difference in their world, they really only need to look as far as these remarkable young people for inspiration. I hope as you make your decisions about the state's greatest and most significant community gardens, that you'll take into serious consideration the impact that Western Avenue Outdoor Classroom has had on the world around it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the board, for your valuable time.
Western Avenue School is great!